I think there's a problem with vehicle masteries in Hill Climb Racing 2. The first mastery was added to the game on May 17th, 2024 in the 1.61.0 update. Unlocking a vehicle's mastery takes a couple of steps. First, you'd have to max out the core stats of the vehicle, and then you can start to get XP. There are a handful of ways to do this. Distance and adventure levels, cup finish positions, and doing tricks like wheeling and flipping. Anyway, here's the full list. Clearly, there are a lot of ways to earn XP, and to me, that's a good thing. Okay, so maybe you're thinking, well, what's the problem? Let's say you do all of your wheeling, and now you've got enough XP. Well, you still have to buy the individual mastery for 1 million coins. Even though this means spending more than 4 million coins for every vehicle mastery you want to unlock, and that is a lot of coins, that's not what this video is about. My problem is with the XP. Just before, we looked at a long list of ways to earn XP, and I said I think it's a good thing that there are a lot of options. And sure, you could make arguments that there are multiple problems with the mastery system, not just this one, but in my opinion, I think this is the main issue. For the majority of masteries in this game, it seems like one of the most agreed upon grinding methods is wheeling. Sometimes this is in an adventure map like Desert Valley, or sometimes in a time trial map like Watery Tunnel in Cup of City Water. Alright, why am I even talking about this? Well, it started on December 8th when I began working on getting Rally Car Mastery. For a little bit of context, I really like Rally Car. If you look at all of my adventure maps, I have more 10Ks with Rally than any other vehicle, and anytime I unlock a new map, it's basically the first vehicle that I'll use. At the time I started recording, I genuinely intended to unlock all of the new features: Overdrive, Turbocharge, Ultra Grip, and the extra part. I already had about 17,000 XP. I then spent my last 1,000 gems to buy an XP boost, which just doubles whatever points I get up to 50,000. In addition, I had 20,000 of these purple things, which is important because they would get me mastery points. If you remember the list of ways to get XP, one of the items was opening vehicle-specific chests, and in the team shop, you could buy a rally car-specific rare chest for 2,000 purple things. Okay, great, so each one you open gives 500 XP, but times 2 because of the boost that I just bought. I had enough for 10 chests, which meant 10,000 XP in total. With that, I was now 31% of the way to unlocking Overdrive. Let's assume that wheeling is in fact the best way to go if I don't want to spend real money. There's this guy named Zoro, maybe you've heard of him. He did this wheeling stuff, and in approximately 40 seconds, he got 476 XP. I'm going to use those numbers as reference points. Now let's say I replicate this strategy perfectly, 476 XP every single time. With no breaks, it would take me more or less 1 hour and 36 minutes to finish just Overdrive. Let's just say I had the XP boost for that whole time though. Instead, it would take 48 minutes. But there's still Turbocharge, Ultra Grip, and the extra part, each costing an additional 100,000 XP. There are ways to optimize this. You could do it when there's a double XP event and use your mastery boosts at the same time. That way you do it 4 times faster instead of just 2. But these events don't always happen right away, and you'll miss out on using the mastery on team events, which are often catered to the new mastery. And just generally, you won't be able to use the vehicle to its full potential for that month. Now, it might sound like I'm complaining about the amount of XP being too high and it taking too long, but my problem is specifically with the tedious nature of unlocking the XP. You might be thinking, don't wheelie then, there are plenty of other ways to unlock it. That's true, but with most of these, you can't get enough XP because the game limits the amount of times that you can play in some specified amount of time. We're left with a few options, but for getting this large sum of 400,000 XP, it just doesn't feel worth it to do these, for me at least. I have a solution though, kind of. I think the process needs to feel rewarding, but I don't just mean at the end. Of course, using the rally car with special upgrades is more fun once you actually have them, but the process for getting those upgrades, I think, should also be fun or interesting. There's some quote that's like, enjoy the journey, not just the destination, or something like that, and I think I can give a specific example within Hill Climb Racing 2 that is applicable. I recently got a 10K in Adventure on Beach with the ATV. It took me a lot of tries to do, but each time I died, I learned more about the terrain and how to get through it more consistently. I learned a lot about when to use the jump shocks and when to use the hook, and I felt more confident just using the ATV in general by the time I'd gotten the 10K. So once I was finished, I didn't just have more stars and another 10K checked off for Beach. I enjoyed the process of learning the vehicle and the map. Masteries are upgrades that can completely transform a vehicle from bad to good, so it makes sense that they take a while to grind because, you should put in more effort to get these really strong upgrades. My point is just that, for Rally Car at least, the grind doesn't feel worth it, and I want it to. That's basically all I had to say. Let me know if you disagree with the stuff that I said, or you think I'm just looking at it from the wrong angle. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.